Alright, so I've been kind of working on a game using this NiceGUI library here, and I ran into a problem that was sort of confusing, but I just want to share basically how I went about solving the problem. So we've got some code over here that creates a few simple elements, creates this right here. Basically, the problem and what I'm trying to accomplish here is I want to press a button, and then after some artificial delay, so like 3 seconds, we would increment this value or do whatever, and the progress bar would reflect that. So the first thing I turned to was the NiceGUI examples. So on their GitHub here, they have an example which basically just shows using or updating a progress bar through a queue. So I've got that open right here. Let's open that up. Let's see. Oh, that is. All right, so we'll open that up real quick. All right, so we've got it like this. We've got our button here, and if we press this button, it's going to take a second for it to start, and then it goes along, and the progress bar updates, and then I could increment a value when it's done or something like that. But as you saw, there was kind of a delay in the beginning. It works basically immediately right after. But I didn't really like this solution just because it seemed like way too much overhead for what I'm really trying to do. I'm just trying to create an artificial delay, right? So in this example, it's running something asynchronously through this run CPU bound, and then we've got this heavy computation, which you could use to create some artificial delay and then update the progress bar through a queue like they're doing here. But that was just way too involved. I didn't really need something this crazy. I'm not doing a heavy computation. I'm simply trying to update the progress bar, for an artificial delay type of thing. So this was not the right solution. The first thing that I turned to was changing the animation for the progress bar, and I can show you that right here. So if we run this, all right, so we've got our same counter as before. I can make this a little bigger. We've got, a delay here. It's going to update the cookies counter after that delay, and the progress bar reflects that. So this is a pretty good solution. I was pretty happy with this. There's just one problem, and that's that since we're just updating this progress bar, we're not necessarily, we can't really get any value from it. So for example, we couldn't really show a percent of how complete it is. I suppose we could run something alongside this, or maybe create a solution to have a number show alongside this, but the solution wasn't perfect, although for some use cases I think it would work just fine. Essentially, it just works by changing the animation speed to, whatever delay we put in here. So we've got our delayed cookie function. We set it for 3 seconds. We want to call this make cookie function when it's done, and then we're going to give it our progress element. So in this case, it's a linear progress, but it could also be a circular progress, so that type of thing, and then it will just change the animation speed. So this works okay. The final solution that I came up with is a little bit more complicated, but I think it accomplishes the task in the most versatile way. So let's open that up real quick, and we can kind of see how that works. So that is going to be ticks.py. Sweet, so this should open up here. All right, same thing, right? So we've got our progress bar, we've got our button. It works in pretty much the same way. It's a little more jittery, but as we can see, it updates a value as it's going, so we can see the progress as it's animating along, or as it's progressing, and then it calls something afterwards. So essentially how this one works, essentially how this one works is we've got this tick system. So I guess similar to really any other game that has like a game loop, you're going to have a certain amount of updates per second. So this one, not necessarily tied to the frame rate. We've got 20 ticks per second, just like in Minecraft or whatever else. So we've got this base class to allow things to receive ticks. We've got this timer, which is tickable, so it can receive ticks. Then we've got this UI timer from NiceGUI is essentially acting as our, or it continuously calls this tick, which calls whatever is tickable type of thing. So what we do down here is we just create a timer that utilizes these ticks, and then we tell it, oh, we want it to run for 3 seconds. We want it to make a cookie when it's done. So same like we've seen before. We want to provide ticks to this timer so it can receive constant updates, start the game ticks, that type of thing. So we've got our same things here before, except the linear progress is now bound to our timer's percent complete. So that is a value within the timer that constantly updates how complete it is. So we can get that value from it, and that's what updates the progress bar. And then we've also got this label down here, which is bound to the elapsed time of the timer. So we can actually get these values, and it's a little bit more versatile, so we can get these values from it. So down here, though, we have this properties animation speed, just like we saw before. We can actually change this, let's say to like 150 or something. And then when we press this button, it's a lot smoother. So anyway, this solution is a lot more expandable. So because I've just created a tickable class, we can pretty much make anything receive ticks. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I went about solving this problem. The code can be found on my GitHub, so if you want to take a look at how this works or modify any of it for your project, I mean, go for it. I just hope this helps. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Later.